Hey, Jarek here, and this is a Nerf 1917 Maxim machine gun that makes smoke. How cool is that? Now, you've actually already seen this before in a few of my videos, kind of. Internally, this is identical to that of my M249 saw and my MG3. It even uses the same links on the inside. They're interchangeable. The magazines are not interchangeable though, they won't lock into place, but that's not too big of a deal. Functionally, this thing works the same. Let me go ahead and take it off the tripod. It also came with one of these tripods, and again, this is the same as the tripod that came with the MG3. It's very simple to take it off. This thing is just one screw. It's like a rail on the bottom you attach it to. There we go. So yeah, you can see it's just a rail on the bottom, just attaches. Very simple, very easy to use. And it actually makes sense, you know, considering this is a Maxim, albeit it's a very small Maxim. It's almost adorable if you know the size of the real one. It also came with one of these sort of like anti-air sights. I don't like how these look, so I didn't bother putting this on the front. I left it as is, and it already has, you know, sights that you can adjust that work fine, so no need to put anything else on it. Unlike the M249 saw, the carrying handle is actually metal, and I have no problem carrying it by this. It would be perfectly fine. Anyway, if you saw my videos on the saw or the MG3, you already know how this works. This is an AEG, meaning there's a gearbox inside of here, but it just pulls the links through the side. It doesn't need to chamber anything. When it is on safe, you can treat it like a Springer. Just cock it one by one. And then if you put it on semi or full, then it's just semi or full. And when you put it back on safe, it will decompress the spring, which is really useful. I wish every AEG had that. When I went to Chrono this gun, I found that the results were actually surprisingly consistent with the darts it came with. The darts it comes with are a little longer than half-length darts. They're also suction cup darts, but I found with these, it's getting pretty reliably around 80 FPS, which isn't bad. At least not for the kind of novelty Nerf blaster this is. And yes, I know it's not actually made by Nerf. A lot of people try to correct me, but people know what I mean when I say Nerf gun if they're not really into dart blasters. If I say dart blaster, then I don't know, they'll probably see that title and just ignore it. Then I tried to chrono it with my half-length darts. Half-length darts do fit into these links perfectly fine, but they gave me weird results. The FPS was all over the place. Sometimes it would go down to 50, other times it'd go up to 110, sometimes it would go way beyond that, but those were definitely misreads. This was the case with all of my half-length darts. It didn't matter if they were Worker Gen 3s, it didn't matter if they were Worker Waffle Heads, it didn't matter if they were Adventure Force Pros, all very inconsistent. And that carried over to performance and accuracy and reliability. I'll toss you over to Past Jarek to explain that. Okay, I know the darts that come with this thing work perfectly fine, so I'm not going to test them here, but I have other half-length darts that I want to test in this gun. Historically, with Lehui products, Worker Gen 3s generally don't seem to work with them too well, which is weird because I generally love these darts. They tend to be the most reliable in anything, except for the sort of Chinese gimmicky blasters. So I got a full belt of Worker Gen 3s. I'm just going to full auto dump them out. That's when you can usually see them not working. You might see a few fall out, you might see a few go in random directions, you'll probably see a few fishtailing, but this one may be different, so the only way to know is to just try it out. So let's try to get behind the camera as much as I can. I'm not going to turn on the steam thing, I don't want anything to block the line of the darts. So let's just see how well this works. And yeah, it's the same. So that's about what I expected. Darts went in every random direction. These don't work anywhere near as well as the darts that came with it, but I got other half-length darts and I would test those too. Next up is everyone else's favorites, Adventure Force Pros. I'm expecting to see the same results. They're pretty similar to Worker Gen 3s, but a little different, so let's try them out here. Full auto dump, just like last time. They do seem to fly a little straighter, but I was still seeing the occasional dart that would go in a random direction, and these, while they work, I feel like it would actually be fine to load up a link of those. you're still getting worse performance with Adventure Force Pros than the darts this came with. Alright, I got one last one to test. These are the yellow worker waffle heads. And I have higher hopes for these because these are the thinner, softer foam waffle heads. And I don't know, maybe waffle heads would be a little bit different. It's more about the softness of the foam. This is definitely softer than both Worker Gen 3s and Adventure Force Pros. So just another full auto mag dump, and maybe it'll work. I hope these do, because I really like the yellow ones. They're really easy to see on camera. Nope, those were actually the worst out of the three, which is a little disappointing. So yeah, the best bet you have with this thing, just like all the other Lehui products, is just to use the darts that it came with, or possibly cutting down Nerf darts, because I'm willing to bet they've based these off of Nerf's normal elite darts, and those generally seem to work the best. Which also sucks because those darts really aren't very good, but at least they're accessible. And that's a trend with like all of these Chinese gimmicky dart blasters, but to be fair, let me decompress that string. To be fair, you're probably not going to be taking these out to games. You could probably get away with these, maybe grab a few extra belts to take you with you, but then you have a dart problem. So yeah, to reiterate, your best bet is to use the darts that this came with instead of half-length darts. But half-length darts do work. I think I got the best performance out of Adventure Force Pros if I was using any other half-length dart other than the one that came out of the box. And you can get away with that. You know what, I changed my mind. I'm going to fire the default darts that this came with so you guys can get a better idea of what the performance with these are. They are suction cup darts. They're a little, just ever so slightly longer than normal half-length darts. And they just kind of seem to work way better in this gun. I'm not really aiming to try to make it out there. That's about 25 feet away. I'm just pointing at it from my point of view and shooting just for consistency's sake. I'm just holding straight. And yeah, they shoot much farther, much straighter. You may occasionally get one go off to the side, but it's not fishtailing, it just still fires straight to the side. These just work a lot better than any of the other half-length darts I have, which is pretty disappointing. And again, this is sort of a gimmicky, cool thing to use. I mean, it's a toy. This isn't really something you're buying to go take out to the local games, although you probably could get away with it. So yeah, the darts are a bit of a downside going into this gun. I can't complain too much because that's what I've come to expect. You know, I said that. I do like Lehui as a company though. They make a lot of really cool novelty blasters, and I cannot help but just buy all of them because they're cool toys. But they're not really performance blasters. They're not really something you buy with the idea of going out to games with, other than just messing around. In this case, it's kind of a shame though, because you could definitely get away with using this thing in-game if the darts weren't so picky. Because these links basically function like magazines. If you have extra links, then you can just plop it down in this box and start shooting again. I said the same thing about the MG3 and the M249 saw. The same applies to those. I guess my point is, it's functional, and the dart's not really all working reliably with this thing, or at least not accurately with this thing. It's not going to jam with the other darts, don't get me wrong. You just won't get that great performance. You can make it work if you really wanted to though. I guess that's the moral of the story. The battery situation is the same as the saw. It goes in the grip. There's plenty of space for the battery. You don't need a screwdriver or an Allen wrench key to get into your battery compartment. Thank God. I hate it when companies do that. But you just pull up this latch and there's one of those sort of Chinese 7.4 volt batteries in here. It's kind of stuck. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't think I need to take it out of the battery compartment. And it also comes with one of those USB chargers. Okay, so what about that smoke you saw earlier? Well, it's really simple. There's this rubber little cap on the front that you open, you spray some water in there. They even give you this little squirter to put water in there. You don't really need it, but you know, if you want to use it, you can. You close it back up, then you push this button on the back and it starts blowing out smoke. This is a really cool function. Totally gimmicky, there's not really any point for it, and I'm really confused as to why they put a blue LED on it. I think it would have looked better without a light on it. It's a neat gimmick. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to get this thing. Yeah, it was pretty much the same as a SAW or an MG3, and unless you really liked the Maxim, there wasn't a whole lot of reason to buy this over those, except for the smoke. I'm a sucker for gimmicks like this. The entire construction of this gun is the same as other Lehui products, just a lot of plastic, but it doesn't feel overly brittle. It also doesn't feel like it's polymer. It is definitely just ABS plastic, but that's fine for the price you're paying. If you want to buy one of these things, I'll put a link down below in the video information. If I remember correctly, I think I might have spent somewhere between 60, 70, 80. I don't remember how much I spent on this. I'll put something on the screen that corrects me. But again, link down below in the video information. I can say that site works perfectly fine. I've had good customer service from them, and I would recommend. You might have also noticed that while I am firing this blaster, sometimes the top cover in the box mag pops open. And there's a reason for that. I am intentionally not latching it closed, because occasionally when I latch it closed, it grabs the belt and won't let the gun feed. If this really bothers you, there are ways to quickly put the belt inside of the box mag without needing to worry about this. I just felt this was easier. But hey, I think that's all I have to say about the Lehui 1917 Maxim. This thing is really cool. I do really enjoy this just as a toy. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and let's shoot it.